Christian Whiton is the author of Smart Power Between Diplomacy and War and former advisor to the Undersecretary of State for Democracy. Christian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Shannon, great to be here.
How much do you think this decision to close these different diplomatic outposts is directly related to, lessons maybe that we learned through Benghazi?
Well, I think the administration is probably on a hair trigger. Benghazi, of course, did not go well for them. As Ed Royce, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said, someone forgot to circle that date on their calendar and put us up at a higher level of preparation when the anniversary of 9/11 came along. Of course, we were hit again in Benghazi, so I think this time around they're trying to be extra careful, and hence the closure of embassies all the way from Rabat in Morocco to Kabul.
And what we're hearing repeatedly from various intelligence sources and lawmakers even publicly saying this is the biggest, most credible and coalesced threat that they've seen essentially since 9/11. I would imagine it's got to be something pretty detailed, pretty credible to go ahead and close down that number of diplomatic outposts, which I would think do have, significant security most of the time.
That's right. All of our embassies have basically, not all, but most have been turned into fortresses. First, after 1998, when two of our embassies were hit by Islamist militants in Africa, then after 9/11. And the budget for diplomatic security, which defends our diplomats and takes care of embassies, things like that, has risen from about $200 million before 98 to $1.8 billion 10 years after 9/11. Yet, despite this, apparently the threat is significant enough, and apparently Al-Qaeda is still powerful enough that they can hit us in any number of countries.
I mean, there are a lot of groups out there who don't like the U.S. I mean, this may be, the culmination of what they've always wanted, which is to get us out of a lot of these areas. Essentially, we are in some ways shuttering what we do, at least temporarily there. Is it significant to you that what we keep hearing about this particular threat, that it's linked to Al-Qaeda? There are a lot of other groups out there, but that's the one, as you mentioned, that we understood had been decimated to some extent, at least by this administration's, public comments.
That's right. The big mantra of President Obama's re-election, simplified by his vice president, was Detroit is alive and bin Laden is dead. And they went on to say that Al-Qaeda was on its heels, that the tide of war was receding, and this really seems to call that into question. I mean, it's not just groups like Ansar al-Sharia that hit us in Benghazi that this administration hasn't really focused on, but Al-Qaeda was the one they were supposed to be focusing on most of all. It still is obviously in existence, and also the progressive line that all we have to do is pull out of Iraq, pull out of Afghanistan, roll over, play nice doggy, and these people won't be as violent against us isn't true. I mean, basically, we've shifted from offense to defense, and this is what happens.
Quickly, what's the significance for you that this does appear to include Afghanistan?
I think it shows that Central Asia continues to be a real hotspot, and even though everyone wants the Afghanistan war to be over, we still have to have some ability to act in Central Asia as long as Al-Qaeda and Islamist militants are there, which will be for a long time.
All right, Christian Whiton, we thank you so much for your insights. Good luck with the book.
Thanks, Shannon.